Cleve, Associate VP Academic, who is joining us from Fredericton today to assist with the presentation. And
it's my pleasure to be here this afternoon. I chaired the by-campus team that was responsible for selecting the University Teaching Scholars, and it's always a pleasure to read the nominations, and Emin is certainly a deserving candidate. And I'd like to read the citation that was prepared by his colleagues to honor him. Emin's teaching career started in Turkey and continued at the Faculty of Business at UNB St. John. Dr. Sivi has quickly become a member of the campus community, supervising graduate students, sitting on the curriculum committee, and acting as a coach to the marketing teams at case competitions. He has an international reputation not only as a quality educator, but also a researcher. He has published widely in his area and represents UNB at many international high-profile conferences, symposia, and seminars. Specializing in marketing, he has quickly earned a reputation both as an educator with challenging standards and a mentor who cares deeply for his students. As one of his former students says, while in Dr. Sivi's class, he always encouraged all his students to go above and beyond, pushing their potential. To me, Dr. Sivi has been not only a professor, but also a mentor. Emin bases his approach to teaching and learning on sound preparation and interactive classroom activities that engage, inspire, and challenge his students. In a world where engagement has become a popular catchphrase, Dr. Sivi lives the definition. One of his former students attests that Dr. Sivi's enthusiasm for the subject and for his students created an atmosphere where learning became interesting and where I wanted to succeed and do a good job. Very positive student feedback shows the satisfaction that students derive from working with him, and the care and responsiveness he shows in working with them. To his students, he is an influential teacher, inspiring many of them to pursue marketing careers. As one of his students attests, I would just like to reiterate the impact Dr. Sivi has had for me in my terms of career choice. His efforts of encouragement brought me down a path working towards a future in marketing and a brighter future for myself in the workforce. He has no doubt helped build the work ethic I now have, and is one of the most influential individuals I have had the honor of meeting. He is very approachable and willing to share his time with everyone. His positive energy is always appreciated by his colleagues and his students. I want to conclude with one of his students' statements. To me, Dr. Sivi is not just a great teacher, he is more than that. He is a truly genuine person who loves what he does and wants nothing more than to see his students do well. His positive energy is infectious, and it's always a pleasure when I get an opportunity to talk with him. He is an amazing teacher and an even better person. Congratulations.
I'm extremely honored and pleased to be named as the recipient of this very special award. I'm of course at once extremely honored and greatly humbled and, to be honest, a little bit embarrassed. I'm happy to be embarrassed. To be told in this way that you're doing well at something, for which doing well means just about everything, is quite the indulgence. If someone had told me 6 years ago when I joined UNB that I would be recognized in this way for my teaching, I don't think if I would have believed him. Despite my present comfort in the classroom, at 2 earlier points in my career, I felt quite nervous about teaching. When I first began teaching as a graduate assistant in Turkey, I felt more than a little bit of trepidation about how I would successfully guide and educate my students. I knew I had to stand up in front of a classroom, not waste students' time, and teach them things for their futures. That's a lot of responsibility. As an inexperienced new instructor, I have to say that I thought this teaching stuff was a very frightening stuff. The second time I felt the same way was when I first joined UNB. I was opening a new page in my career in a new country, but I had very little knowledge about Canadian students. And knowing your audience is something I always thought to be crucial for effective teaching. But I was fortunate. My students were patient with me, remarkably patient. Thanks to my teacher and mentor, Dr. Tamer Çalışgil, he encouraged me to seek continual feedback and help from colleagues and students. I remember he told me that I didn't need to feel ashamed if I asked for help. And I followed his advice, kept bugging my colleagues to learn about my students and the culture at UNB. I was very blessed to have the opportunity to obtain guidance from one of our more experienced teachers here, and I learned so much from them. I began feeling more confident in the classroom despite my earlier apprehension. And you know what? Along the way, I discovered how amazing teaching is. Teaching in the classroom is one of the most rewarding things I have ever done in my life. I was hooked. I have to tell you, it's incredibly inspiring to see students in the class. They struggle through some difficulties and then realize that they can master the material. One unspoken rule about our profession of teaching is that it is one of the easier jobs to do poorly. That is one of the easier jobs to do poorly and one of the most difficult jobs to do well. In a research university setting, too often, faculty believe that research is the only meaningful endeavor. But such a view is certainly not the case at UNB, where the expectation is that teaching and research are co-equals. And that is how it should be. Where research informs and enriches our teaching, and we revitalize our teaching through our research. I believe this award will give me a valuable opportunity to diversify and strengthen my skills to facilitate my students' learning through my research. I would now like to take this opportunity to give thanks and appreciation to all of my former educators, to whom I am eternally indebted for helping me discover the joy of learning and teaching. To my department and colleagues, thank you so much. Thank you so much for believing in me to nominate me for this award, and also for giving me very valuable guidance and advice over the years. To Regina Farnsworth, Dean of Business, thank you for the wonderful nomination letter you have written for me. I also appreciate your continued support. Providing me with such a flexible working environment has been instrumental in developing these teaching skills. To all the staff who keep everything running smoothly, I thank you so much for your tireless effort. To my wife, Marianne, I'm blessed at who patiently put up with all those late nights as I furiously prepared lectures for the next day. I'm blessed to have your support. Thank you again. And my mother and my father, thank you both for instilling in me the values of education, a strong passion for learning, and especially respect for others. And finally, and most importantly, to all my students, past and present, and graduate and undergraduate, I don't know how to thank them properly for having me as their prof. But please know this, they are the reason I'm here as a professor at UNB. They make this the best job in the world. Thank you.